Picture this. You're sitting in the interview chair, you're wearing your absolute best outfit. Your palms are maybe just a little bit sweaty, but overall, you are crushing it.
Oh yeah, you're in the zone.
Exactly. You're in the zone, you've nailed the technical questions, you've charmed the panel. I mean, mentally, you are already decorating your new office.
Right, picking out the desk plan.
Yes. But then the lead interviewer leans forward, steeples their fingers, and drops the absolute dreaded bomb. Tell me about a time you made a bad decision.
Oh man, the ultimate stomach drop moment.
It really is. It's the moment every candidate's stomach just drops right through the floor. Suddenly the room feels like 10 degrees hotter, and your brain is scrambling to figure out how to admit you're a flawed human being without, completely torpedoing your chances of getting hired.
It's the classic interview minefield. And for most candidates, I mean, the immediate internal reaction is just pure defense.
Oh, absolutely.
You feel like they're handing you a loaded weapon and just waiting to see if you're going to point it at your own feet.
Which brings us to our mission for this deep dive. Today, we are acting as your personal career coaches. We're going to provide you with a highly tactical, completely foolproof roadmap to not just survive this question, but to actually master it.
Because it is entirely masterable, right?
Yeah.
You just need the framework.
Exactly. And we're pulling some incredible insights today from a specialized guide. It's titled Navigating the Interview, Mastering the Bad Decision Question.
Wow.
And what makes this source material so compelling is that it actually draws heavily from the high-stakes world of commercial aviation.
Which is brilliant, because who handles high-pressure decisions better than pilots?
Right. It teaches us exactly how to handle that pressure. Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we can even begin to craft the perfect answer, we really have to understand the psychology behind the question. Like, why are they trying to make us sweat?
Well, the first thing we really need to do is dispel this pervasive myth that the panel is just setting a trap to get you to disqualify yourself.
Right, it's not a trick.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is that the interviewers actually want to see your vulnerability. They are using this question as a highly calibrated, targeted test of three very specific things.
Okay, would I?
So it's your underlying integrity, your decision-making skills under pressure, and most importantly, your ability to self-correct when things go sideways.
But wait, I have to play devil's advocate for a second here.
Sure, go for it.
If I'm sitting in that chair, every single survival instinct in my body is screaming at me to protect myself.
Of course. That's human nature.
So if I admit to a panel that, say, my bad judgment cost my previous company a massive client, isn't the interviewer just going to mentally write liability across my resume in big red letters?
I mean, you would think so, but...
Like, how is radical transparency not just career suicide in a really cutthroat corporate environment? Wouldn't it just be so much safer to pick a fake mistake?
Oh, the classic fake mistake.
Yeah. The whole, well, my biggest flaw is that I just care too much. Or sometimes I work so hard that I literally forget to take a lunch break.
Right. Well, here is the harsh truth about that. Serving up a non-answer like that is actually a much faster route to the rejection pile.
Wait, really? Faster than admitting a real mistake?
Oh, absolutely. Experienced interviewers have heard those exact lines 1,000 times. When you offer a fake mistake, you're basically signaling to the panel that you either think they're gullible enough to buy it, or, and this is actually worse, that you completely lack the self-awareness to recognize your own actual flaws.
Wow, okay.
A known recovered error is far safer to an organization than a candidate who hides their mistakes.
I see. I always think of it like hosting a really nice dinner party.
Okay, I like where this is going.
So imagine one of your guests brings a plastic apple and they just set it right on the dining table.
Like plastic apple.
Right. And at first glance, like from across the room, it looks perfect. It's shiny, it's symmetrical, there are absolutely no bruises. But the second you get close to it, you realize it's completely fake.
You can't eat it.
Exactly. It has zero substance. Handing an interviewer a fake mistake is just serving them a plastic apple. It literally insults their intelligence.
Yeah, it's a perfect analogy. And when you serve that plastic apple, you immediately trigger the very red flags the panel is explicitly trying to screen out.
And the source material actually outlines those red flags, right?
Yeah, it does. It's very clear on them. The first one is a lack of accountability. I mean, if you can't point to a genuine bad decision, you're telling the panel you either never take risks or you are entirely blind to the consequences when you actually do.
Right, which makes you a massive liability.
Exactly. The second red flag is making excuses or blaming others. So, saying your bad decision was actually your manager's fault because they didn't give you the right data.
Ugh, yeah, passing the buck. Never a good look.
Never. But the ultimate red flag, the absolute biggest thing they are trying to screen out, is a candidate who confuses an innocent, unintentional mistake with an act of willful negligence.
Okay, so that's a huge distinction. That's the difference between, say, missing a step in a really messy procedure because you were rushed versus knowingly bypassing a major safety protocol just so you could leave work early.
Yes, exactly.
One is human error under pressure. The other is a deliberate, conscious disregard for the rules.
And that distinction right there is the entire foundation of your strategy. You
Right.
simply cannot choose a scenario that highlights a fundamental character flaw or, a blatant disregard for safety or policy.
That makes total sense.
Knowing that willful negligence is the ultimate deal breaker means selecting the exact right type of bad decision to talk about is critical.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting, because the guide we're looking at gives us this absolute masterclass in scenario selection straight from the flight deck.
Yes, the aviation example. It's so good.
It's incredible. The source's prize example of the perfect bad decision to use in an interview is accepting a rushed air traffic control request, or ATC as they call it.
Right.
Specifically, they detail this scenario involving a late runway sidestep that results in what they call an unstable approach.
Yeah, and for those who might not be super familiar with aviation terminology, let's just break down why this is the gold standard for an interview answer.
Please do.
So, a late runway sidestep means you are flying a massive commercial jet. You are fully configured, you're lined up to land on, let's say, runway 27 left.
You're totally dialed in.
Right, you are in the groove. But at the very last minute, air traffic control radios in and asks if you can shift over and land on runway 27 right instead. Maybe to help them out with traffic flow or something.
And as a pilot, I mean, your natural human instinct is to be helpful, right?
Right.
You want to be a team player. You think, sure, yeah, I can make that work.
Exactly, you want to accommodate them.
So you accept the request, you manually take over, you bank the aircraft to line up with this new runway. But because it was just so last minute, you mess up the energy management of the plane.
Physics kind of gets in the way.
Yeah. You end up coming in a little too high or maybe a little too fast. So in aviation terms, you've created an unstable approach. You made a bad decision by trying to be too accommodating.
And the absolute brilliance of using this scenario as an interview answer is that it completely avoids that red flag of willful negligence.
Right, there's no malice there.
None at all. The pilot didn't decide to break altitude rules just for fun. They were genuinely trying to accommodate a professional request from a colleague, air traffic control. But they just misjudged the physics and the timing.
Mhm.
It perfectly illustrates an unintentional, innocent mistake made under real-time pressure.
And if we pull that out of the cockpit and put it into a typical office environment, the psychology is identical.
Oh, 100%.
It's the graphic designer who accepts a ridiculous last-minute client revision that ends up crashing their rendering software and they miss the deadline.
Yep. It happens all the time.
Or it's the account manager who promises a client a 2-day turnaround on a complex audit just to save the relationship, knowing deep down the team really needs 5 days.
Right. Trying to be the hero.
Exactly. The bad decision is born from a desire to help. It's allowing external pressure to momentarily compromise your internal professional boundaries.
It is universally relatable. Every single hiring manager has been in a position where they said yes when they absolutely should have said no.
Oh, for sure.
But having the right story is only step one. The delivery of that story is what actually wins the interview.
Okay, so let's say I've picked the perfect innocent mistake to talk about. But if I just sit there and ramble for 10 minutes trying to explain the whole context, why I messed up.
Oh, please don't.
Right, like if I'm trying to justify every little detail to make myself look better, I'm still going to fail the interview. So how do I actually package this story so I don't lose the panel's attention?
Well, the guide mandates using the STAR method, or its variation, the SPIRE method.
Okay, remind us what those stand for.
Sure. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. And SPAR is situation, problem, action, result. The framework itself is mandatory, but candidates routinely fail by getting the proportions totally wrong.
What do you mean by proportions?
Well, they spend like 80% of their time on the situation just to justify their error. They'll say, well, it was a Tuesday and the database was lagging and my manager was on vacation and my coffee was cold.
Oh, wow. Yeah, interviewers must tune that out immediately.
They absolutely do. Your context, the situation, and task Needs to take 30 seconds, maximum.
Yeah, just 30 seconds. So, what does this all mean for the actual moment of confession? If I keep the context that short, the entire weight of the answer shifts directly to the action.
Yes, it does.
And honestly, just thinking about sitting there and plainly stating, I messed up, is terrifying. In the airplane example, you are admitting your judgment was fundamentally flawed. It has to be profoundly embarrassing to look a panel of experts in the eye and admit that in a critical moment, your brain just calculated the math wrong.
This raises an important question about how we view professionalism, right? Because, yes, it feels deeply uncomfortable, but you must fight the urge to soften the blow.
No plastic apples.
No plastic apples. The very first action you must take in your narrative is demonstrating absolute, unwavering accountability. You cannot use passive language like, well, the situation got a little out of hand, or the classic mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made.
It's the worst. You have to look them in the eye and explicitly state, my judgment was flawed in that moment. I made a poor operational decision.
Owning it completely.
Completely.
Because when you strip away all the caveats and just take the hit, you're actually proving your ego isn't larger than your commitment to reality.
That's exactly it. And once you establish that radical accountability, you move immediately to the next crucial step, which is demonstrating decisive correction.
Fixing it.
Right. You have to show the panel exactly what you did to stop the bleeding and return things to a safe state. Drawing on our aviation source again, the correct action in that unstable approach scenario is incredibly definitive.
You don't just try to force a bad landing.
No. You absolutely do not try to salvage a bad landing. You immediately call for and execute what they call a go-around. You push the throttles forward, you abort the landing, climb back up to a safe altitude, and you just reset the entire process.
You don't double down on the bad decision. You recognize it, you hit the gas, and you reset.
Exactly.
Let's actually walk through what a complete start-to-finish star answer looks like for a non-aviation corporate scenario, applying all these rules. Let's imagine our candidate is a financial analyst.
Okay, perfect.
So the situation and task. I was tasked with building the Q3 revenue projection model, and the board needed it by 5 p.m. on a Friday. 30 seconds, boom, done.
Love it. Short and sweet.
Then we hit the action, starting with the bad decision and the accountability. They would say, I was running behind. So to save time, I hard-coded a growth variable into a single cell instead of linking it properly to our database. When the board reviewed it, the numbers were off by $50,000. It was a poor operational decision on my part. I prioritized speed over accuracy, and my judgment was flawed.
The accountability there is crystal clear. I love that. Now, the candidate has to execute the corporate go-around.
Right. So the rest of the action is, the moment I realized the error during the meeting, I spoke up immediately. I told the CFO to disregard the current printout. I pulled my laptop up, corrected the hard-coded cell in real time, and sent the revised, accurate model to the board within 3 minutes.
That is a phenomenal execution of damage control, because you showed the panel that when things go sideways, you don't freeze and you don't try to hide.
You just face it.
You endure a moment of intense professional embarrassment in order to prioritize the integrity of the work. You successfully return the project to a safe state.
But, fixing the mistake in the moment isn't actually the end of the story. I look at it kind of like bumping into a wobbly table and knocking a priceless vase off the edge.
Okay, visual metaphor, I'm with you.
So you dive, and you catch the vase an inch before it hits the floor. Incredible reflexes. You save the day.
Hero moment.
Right. But if you just put the vase right back on the exact same wobbly table and walk away, you haven't actually solved anything.
Oh, man. Yeah.
You just delayed the disaster, you survived the crisis, but you haven't prevented the next one.
The interviewers are looking for candidates who fix the wobbly table, not just those with quick reflexes. They want to know how this mistake permanently changed you, which brings us to the most critical part of this entire framework, the pivot.
The result part of the STAR method. So how do we actually communicate that long-term systemic growth?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at how high-reliability organizations handle errors. The source material introduces a concept used heavily in aviation called the Safety Management System, or SMS.
Okay, what does that involve?
Well, airlines don't just want pilots who can fly well, right? They want pilots who actively participate in a continuous feedback loop. So if a pilot makes a mistake, like accepting a bad ATC clearance, they file a formal safety report. like an ASE or a NASA report.
And these are confidential, non-punitive reporting systems, right?
Yeah,
Like, the goal isn't to punish the pilot.
exactly.
The goal is to say, hey, company, I messed up today because the procedure was confusing. I'm putting this on the record so you can look at the data and change the procedure so the pilot flying tomorrow doesn't make the exact same mistake.
Right. That level of transparency actually weaponizes your mistake for the greater good of the entire organization. In a corporate environment, this translates to participating in blameless postmortems.
Okay, I've heard of those in tech.
Yeah. A software engineer who crashes a server doesn't just quietly reboot it and hope nobody noticed. They document the failure and present it at a sprint retrospective. A marketing manager who blows a budget doesn't just hide the spreadsheet. They run an audit with their team to find the actual gaps in the approval process.
You are demonstrating that you see yourself as part of a larger ecosystem. You extract maximum value from every single failure, which leads directly into the final piece of the roadmap, detailing your permanent personal fix.
Yes. You must conclude your answer by explaining the personal system, the checklist, or the habit that you developed specifically to prevent this error from ever recurring.
So it's not just a vague promise to do better.
No, absolutely not. Tying it back to the pilot, the permanent fix isn't saying, well, I promised myself I'll never accept a rushed runway change again. That's just a wish.
Right.
A permanent fix is saying, after that day, I developed a personal hard deck rule. If ATC asks for a runway change when we are below 3,000 feet, my default immediate answer is always unable. The system makes the decision for me.
Wow. Taking that a step further with our financial analyst mock answer, the result and permanent fix wouldn't just be, I promise to double check my work in the future.
Too vague.
Right, it would be. After that incident, I built an automated macro that scans my spreadsheets for any hard-coded numbers and flags them in bright red before I can even hit save. I also instituted a mandatory 15-minute peer review for all financial models on our team. We haven't had a data error since.
Brilliant. You are replacing a flawed human judgment call with a bulletproof personal system. And when you explain that to the panel, you are offering them absolute reassurance. You are telling them you've deeply analyzed your own flaws, engineered a systemic solution, and you're going to bring this incredibly high level of self-reflection to their team.
It's amazing. What starts out as the most terrifying sweaty palm question of the entire interview transforms into your absolute biggest selling point.
Right.
You're literally walking them through a masterclass of your own professional maturity.
It is the ultimate display of emotional intelligence. You are proving that you are not fragile and that you view mistakes as data points for optimization rather than, personal indictments.
Okay, let's do a tactical recap of this roadmap so you, the listener, can absolutely nail this the next time you find yourself in the hot seat.
Let's do it.
Step 1. Choose an innocent mistake born from pressure or a desire to help.
Huh?
Avoid willful negligence like the plague.
Yep.
Step 2. Structure your story using the STAR or SPAR method. Keep the context under 30 seconds so you don't sound like you're just making excuses.
30 seconds max.
Step 3. Take absolute responsibility. No plastic apples. Say the actual words, my judgment was flawed.
Own it.
Step 4. Show immediate, decisive correction. Execute the go-around. Stop the bleeding.
Hit the gas and reset.
Step 5. Utilize the feedback loop. Show how you shared what you learned with your team through a postmortem or a retrospective. And finally, step 6. Implement a permanent fix. Show them the new automated system or hard deck rule you built so that mistake never sees the light of day again.
If you follow that progression, you're not just answering a question. You're giving them a preview of the exact kind of leader you are going to be when things get tough.
Yeah.
You are showing them you don't just survive turbulence, you learn how to build a better airplane because of it.
We've covered a massive amount of ground today, translating these brilliant, high-stakes lessons from the aviation world directly to your white-collar career. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to chew on.
I love these.
We talked a lot today about how organizations in incredibly high-stakes fields have these formal built-in systems like ASE or NASA reports that actually celebrate admitting and learning from mistakes. They have engineered a culture where vulnerability is literally a matter of life and death, and therefore it is heavily rewarded.
It's built into their DNA.
Exactly. So here is my question for you. How can you adopt that exact aviation-grade culture of honest self-reporting and continuous ego-free feedback in your own daily life and career, even when there isn't an interview panel watching?
That's a great question to reflect on.
Until next time, keep diving deep.